The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, that's a UK-based group, claims that at least 90 people were killed in IDF strikes on the city of Palmyra in Syria. It says that dozens of pro-Iran militia members were also killed. That group has been accused of inflating casualty figures in the past. But to talk more about that, Colonel Rich Outzen is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council and a geopolitical consultant for Dragoman LLC. Thanks for being with us, Rich. So, I mean, this represents a massive uptick in attacks on Syria. Is this making a difference when it comes to preventing Hezbollah from rearming?
Well, it may be. It's a little early to tell, but there's been apparently some sort of back-channel negotiations trying to convince Assad that increasingly the mask is off Iran's regional war against Israel and American interests in the region, and they're using Syria quite openly as a launching pad for attacks and as a logistical supply line through to Hezbollah and Lebanon. So there's been pressure exerted and back-channel messaging about this might be a good time for you to stop doing that. There were rumors that Ron Dermer had been both in Moscow and in Washington pressing a plan to dangle sanctions relief for Assad in exchange for him choking off some of the supply lines coming in. But first of all, I don't think he'll do that. Assad is very deeply entwined with both Iran and with Lebanese Hezbollah. And second of all, until he does so, the prudent thing is to continue hitting the pro-Iranian militias, the IRGC, and the Hezbollah forces that are all throughout the depth of Syria.
Well, it seems that Iran has other plans for Syria, and there are some reports that Iran would like its militias to invade Israel from the north via the Golan Heights. Any sign of how the Americans are preparing to respond to that?
Well, we are in very close, that is, the United States military is in very close consultation and cooperation with Israel. As you're aware, whatever the policy level splits between the Democrats and Republicans on fighting in Gaza, on end state, and on potentially limiting symbolically some arms support, in reality, the provision of intelligence support, ammunition support, arms resupply, that sort of thing, has really been uninterrupted. And I think this is a bipartisan approval and support for robust support to Israel, because what we're seeing now is a multi-front war launched against Israel from Iran in multiple different directions. So I think what you'll see is as things escalate in Lebanon and in Syria, the United States will continue to robustly provide weapon support, intelligence support. And I think you probably noticed the strike that's been reported against Ali Mussa Daqduq. We can talk about that as well if you like, because that's a clear example of where Israel is fighting an enemy that's also targeting the United States. And in that case, it's going to be a very easy sell to Congress and to the public to keep supporting Israel in a robust way.
Quite. Well, tell us more about that cell that was targeted. This is an individual who has American blood on his hands.
Ali Mussa Daqduq was born in Beirut, and he is the poster child for how linked Iran's war across Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon against both the United States and Israel, how linked these are. He fought in the 2000s against American forces. He led a raid in 2007 that resulted in the death of 5 Americans, and then he was inexplicably released by corrupt courts in Iraq that were under Iranian influence, apparently. And as a result, he got back into the fight, and he has been one of the prime movers and shakers between Lebanon and Syria, carrying out Iran's bidding. So the fact that he was reportedly killed in an Israeli strike will cause a lot of satisfaction in the United States. Obviously, a lot of bitter feelings in the United States towards the fact that this guy, after he was captured, by the way, by an American raid in 2007, or an American patrol after his raid that killed 5 Americans, he was then released and allowed to go back on the battlefield. So I think that, again, is a poster child for what Iran is up to and how closely intertwined the U.S. and Israeli interests are in pushing back on that Iranian multi-front war.